Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and joining us on this, what is it, fall already? We're past summer, so it's about fall time. My name is Derrick Wlodarz. This is my colleague Wesley Howard, and I am the owner of Park Ridge, a computer repair company called FireLogic. You've probably seen my car around town with the FireLogic magnets, but we do computer repair, we do all kinds of stuff today. We're big in Google Apps today. We move companies over and school districts to that product. We do a lot of training as well. We're at the Park Ridge and Niles libraries at least 2 to 3 times a month, it seems now. So we're keeping pretty busy. We're doing a lot of different things. And I'm glad to see everyone come out today for this wonderful class that we have. So this is a class that we started back at the Niles Library back in June. We did a beginner's class over there. We did a little bit higher level class for everyone as well. And we're sort of doing it under the beginner's banner tonight, but we're sort of mixing together everything we did in that intermediate level class and beginner's class because a lot of the stuff overlaps, and I'm sure that a lot of the information people saw in the second class, could have just as well been advantageous for the first class. So we sort of mended the two. We're just doing one security class now. And the response was great because, from everything we do, everything we talk to customers about in terms of security, this seems like the area that people are most concerned about today. Computer security and internet safety is still something that a lot of people are still shaky about. Seeing you turn on the news every single day and you hear about bank attacks and all these other things that are going on. You have to wonder, how do you use the computer safely? How do you do things on the internet in a safe manner? So we're going to show off all kinds of tips and tricks and just general pieces of advice that we've been following. To be completely honest, between Wesley and myself, we bring over 15 years of experience to the table when it comes to computers and staying secure on them. So we know our way around on these machines, and we want to share some of that knowledge with you tonight. I handed out an agenda, or everyone picked up an agenda when they walked in off the table. On the front of it, we're going to just have a full list of all the different items that we're going to cover tonight. And the reason we have a lot of white space on the agenda is because we encourage everyone to write down questions, write down things that you want to bring up in the Q&A. Or if you want to ask a question as I'm presenting or as Wesley's up presenting, feel free to do so. Questions really help spark discussion and help bring out probably something that you might be curious about, but someone else is probably thinking of as well. So feel free to raise your hand and ask something as we're presenting today. On the back of the agenda, before we get started in earnest, I just want to highlight some of the upcoming events that we have going on, training and support events that we're doing here locally in the community. The second Saturday of every month, if you don't know, we're here at the Park Ridge Library from 9 a.m. to noon, and we do free technology support. It's called Open Help Desk. You can come any month. We're always going to be here. That's the second Saturday, 9 a.m. to noon. It's on the 3rd floor computer lab, and any kind of technology questions you have, problems with your laptop, problems with your computer or phone, feel free to come in. We'll answer them free of charge. It doesn't cost you a thing, and we will sit with you and work with you until we resolve the problem. So feel free to take advantage of that, and that's every single month. October 20th, we're doing a Google Sites for Beginners class. If you've ever been interested in doing a website for yourself or for your small business, Google Sites is a product that comes free with any Gmail account, and you can utilize that to make your own website. So we'll show you how to do from start to finish, get a professional looking website up on the web in short order. Saturday, November 3rd, we're going to be having our first ever computer and phone recycling drive, and this is going to be in cooperation with the Park Ridge Presbyterian Church. We're going to be there from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you have any old computers or old equipment that you're looking to get rid of, remember Illinois law prevents you from putting things in the garbage. You can't just toss away computers. You can't just toss away phones. So we're going to be offering from 9 to 5. You can come and bring those items in. We generally charge a $30 fee to wipe those systems and get that data cleansed off the machine because you don't want that data floating around like social security numbers, things like that. We're waiving the fee. So anything that's brought in, any kind of computer system, will be cleansed free of charge that day. So feel free to come in and bring your items. You don't have to be a member of that church. It's open to the entire public. And then starting in November, we're starting a series both at Park Ridge and the Niles libraries on Windows 8. This is the new version of Windows that is coming out. Any new computer system bought from about late October forward is going to have the new version of Windows on it. It's a pretty radical change for most people. Most people that have seen it say it's very different from what they're used to. So if you're thinking about getting a new machine this Christmas, and it's probably going to have Windows 8 on it, you might want to come into the class. And we've been using the new operating system for a little while. We've gotten our hands around it. We're going to show off, if you're a beginner, how to use it, tips and tricks, and answer all your questions that you may have about how to manage this new beast of a version of Windows. Okay? Anyone have any questions before we get started in the real material? Okay. And all the items in bold on the back for our local upcoming events, you have to pre-register for. So the Google Sites class and the Windows 8 classes, you have to call or go on the via and register via the website to be a part of those classes. Those you have to. You can't just walk in for those. Okay. So a short agenda for today. We have a few different topics that we're going to go over, and those are on the front of the agenda sheet. We've blended in some videos, actually, that we showed off at the beginner's class and intermediate class at Niles. Very good videos. I think it'll really open your eyes in terms of what we're up against in terms of computer security. And likewise, we're going to tell you how you can protect yourself from these bad things that are going on the internet and infecting the computers that we use today. So I hope you really get some informative information out of this session. Wesley's going to have a little demonstration as well in terms of public Wi-Fi security and how to use Wi-Fi safely when you're at McDonald's or the Park Ridge Library, because unfortunately, the rise of wireless is a good thing in that we can use our computers freely on the internet, but it also means that the bad guys are doing ever much more harm in terms of stealing information, and Wesley's going to show everyone what they're exactly doing and how you can protect yourself from that. As I said, we're going to have our safety tips all throughout today, and we'll address any questions anyone has. And then at the end, we want to reserve at least about 15, 20 minutes for open Q&A. Any questions you have about anything, feel free to bring them up. We will answer them. We always like to start off our security classes with a little cartoon, just to get the discussion rolling. So this little cartoon here says, this is the latest in computer safety. In the event your computer crashes, the airbag deploys to prevent you from banging your head on the monitor. So hopefully we're not banging our heads on the monitor today, and some of the information we're going to show you today will help prevent that kind of stress and situations like that from happening to you. I want to ask everyone really quickly, what is it that scares everyone the most about computer security these days? What is it?
Your privacy could be leaked out without you knowing it.
Yeah, privacy is a big concern today, and I'm actually going to show off a slide that shows how much data leakage, how much data loss is going on today due to attacks from viruses and hackers and all sorts of things like that. So privacy is definitely a big concern amongst a lot of people that we work with. Anyone else? Viruses? Everyone's scared of viruses. They seem like they've been around for 50, 20 years, and we still can't get a grasp on them. We're going to dedicate a little bit of time to viruses and how to prevent them today, what kind of software you should have installed on your system. I know a few of my customers are in the crowd today, and they know what antivirus product we recommend. We're going to make another call for everyone to make sure that they get protected with good security software, because unfortunately, there's a lot of software out there, a lot of the free products that claim that they do a good job, and they actually don't do a good job. And we'll show you some information about that in just a little bit. What do people feel least comfortable about when it comes to computer security? Go ahead.
I'll tell you what I'm uncomfortable with is my niece twisted my arm to get a Facebook page. And I don't know what I'm doing with it. I have a fake name on there. So I was like, oh my God, why am I doing this? And I just think, again, that there's, first of all, I'm not someone who self-discloses on a normal basis.
Sure.
So I wouldn't probably be doing some of that crazy stuff.
So the notion of putting all that information out there is
which
just...
I wouldn't do, but it's like, I just don't even know what the purpose is, and except to get free Well, the only reason I did it.
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit about Facebook safety. Actually, I think Wesley's going to get into that a little bit later on. We're doing Facebook, right, Wes?
I'm opening it up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to cover Facebook and social networks. The unfortunate part, one of the big things about social networks, because so many people are using them today, Facebook and Google Plus and LinkedIn, where are the hackers getting us? They're getting us on these services, and they're infecting our machines. And actually, the first video I'm going to show is going to show everyone how easily it is to get infected off of Facebook, as an example. So that's actually the next thing we're going to do right now. And actually, that's a great lead-in, because I want to start the video. And some background on this video. This was from a 60 Minutes episode about a year or two ago, and this was about a big worm that was out back in 2010, I believe, called Conficker. Got a lot of machines infected. We were doing a lot of running around cleaning off systems when this thing hit. It was a nasty worm that infected people's machines and pulled information and did other nasty things to them. So this video does a good job in showing you how what a worm does. I know everyone hears about viruses and worms and the fact that they get on our systems, but you don't know what their purpose is. So this video is going to tell you in about 2-3 minutes what these bad guys are trying to do. And it's important stuff. We don't show the video to scare people per se. We're not scaremongers, but you have to know what's going on out there. And this is what's going on in terms of what we're battling with internet security these days. Okay, so I'm going to start the video up and we'll see what they have to say. The 60 Minutes interviewer is talking to a security professional from the company Symantec. They make Norton antivirus, just so you know who she's speaking with.
The internet is in
All of the known.
Started about a minute
mainly
30.
in corporations out there, like a sleeper cell.
Imagine a network of spies that has infiltrated a country, and every day all of the spies are calling in for their instructions on what to do next.
What's the worm being asked to do?
That's the interesting thing. The only thing the worm is being asked to do is to ask for further instructions.
So we're talking several months.
That's right.
Several months, it's just been sitting there.
That's exactly right.
I don't know, I'm hearing Jaws music. It's that ominous, because once the hackers issue instructions, Conficker could turn menacing in an instant. With one click, the worm's creator can instruct it to suck sensitive data, like bank passwords and account numbers, out of millions of computers, or launch a massive spam attack to clog up the works. The newest targets of worms are social networking sites. Trilling showed us how it might work. So is this a real Facebook page?
This is a real Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
And we added a friend and colleague, Morley Safer. You can see down there in the left.
He says a worm can crack into a Facebook account, like Morley's, and send a message to anyone on his friends list. We have a message from Morley. A message I'm sure to open, since it comes from a trusted friend. Click there, it says, ha ha ha, check out this hilarious video of you.
That's right. So
I would do that. I took the bait.
So one of the biggest things of why social networks are so popular in terms of spreading this bad software, these viruses, is because we trust what our friends send us, right? Someone posts on our wall, what are we going to say? It's not from them, right? We instinctively believe any email or text message or Facebook post is from the person it says it's from, but this video shows it's not always the case, because these viruses are set up to post messages on behalf of you when it's really not you, and tell someone to go somewhere, as it was the case here, and you're going to see what happens next. And this is very popular, especially customers I have with teenagers in the home. This is big, 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 infecting a lot of machines that we work
By
on.
clicking on the video link.
something looks a little off.
Very odd. Am I already infected just by
You're
that?
already infected.
That quickly.
That quickly.
As Trilling demonstrated on a second screen, the hacker owned me.
From here on out, as we'll see, everything you do is going to show up on the hacker's machine.
So when I typed my username and password into a bank website, it appeared instantly on the hacker screen, along with my bank account details. Everything I type shows up here.
Every single keystroke you hit. In fact, if you make a mistake and hit a backspace, that shows up in the window.
The hacker then followed me around as I browsed the internet, from CBS News
Take a look at what the hackers did. Exactly where you are.
To Amazon.com. So if I buy something, they're going to have my credit card.
Everything you type in, your address, your credit card, it's all going to show up in that window.
The internet has become a minefield. Hackers have hidden their malicious software, known as malware, on some of the most trusted websites, like eBay, the Miami Dolphins football team, even myBarackObama.com. Trilling says too few people have top-notch, up-to-date security software. There is something that would have prevented me from answering Morley's message, or I would never have gotten Morley's message.
As soon as you clicked on that link and you had security software, you would immediately get an alert. This is a bad website, and it would have blocked the attack. You would have never been hit. Putting on that software, you're preventing yourself from becoming a victim.
But according to Symantec's own figures,
So there you go. I can make a better case for why you need better security software than what we just saw in that video. Went onto Facebook, thought it was a legitimate message from a friend, got infected as soon as we clicked on the link, which happens a lot. This doesn't only happen on Facebook. Google results, there's a lot of Google results that are infected. You're doing a search on Google and everyone tells me, Google's safe. It's got to be safe because it's on Google, and that's not true. Because these viruses insert these malicious links into Google, into Facebook, and what do? We click on them, and if we don't have the software to prevent it, these kinds of things can happen. So, and as we go through today, we'll answer some other topics of interest in regards to how to prevent something like this from happening. So, does this shock anyone, what we just saw on the screen right now? Does it give you a better idea of what the purpose is for these viruses? So they're stealing information like credit card numbers to do fraudulent purchases, bank account numbers to transfer money out of people's accounts. That's the purpose behind viruses. It's not because people don't have better things to do. It's because these criminals are very advanced and they are making very good money off of this. So that is the reason why viruses are as bad as they are today. Okay. So after that lovely clip, we can keep moving. I wanted to go over some numbers in terms of what security looks like today, because I know everyone gets spam or viruses, but I just want to show everyone the what kind of level of security issues that we're having out on the internet today, and what's getting worse and what's getting better in terms of the landscape out there. So I have this little report that Symantec put out here for 2011, and they're just calling it 2011 by the numbers. Just some major things from here that I want to highlight for everyone. Symantec software, they say, blocked 5.5 billion web attacks. And attacks, I believe, are viruses, malware, malicious links. 5.5 billion of those worldwide in 2011. That's quite a lot. And it's actually much larger than 2010, as we can see, which was only 3 billion. So that problem is definitely getting worse, and there's a lot more junk out on the web today than we used to have. Going down here, we can see that one problem that we are having a little bit better grasp on is spam. In 2010, 62 billion spam emails were sent. In 2011, only 42 billion. So still a lot, but spam is getting a little bit better. A lot of the big spam nets or spam networks that are out there are being shut down, and good email services that have great spam filters like Gmail, which we're going to go over a little bit later, have a really good mechanism for stopping spam. So spam is getting better, but still it's a very large issue today. Look at this. 1.1 million identities were exposed per breach, and a breach is any single instance where malicious attackers got into a bank infrastructure or some other company's infrastructure. So that's the average of number of identities that were released out into the wild with some number of amounts of information, whether it be social security numbers or email addresses, any kind of information that identifies yourself. Phishing is something I'm going to go over a little bit later, because phishing is a topic that I feel needs some definite attention, because a lot of people still don't know what phishing looks like. Does anyone here think that phishing is casting casting out a line and catching fish.
I'm slow, but not
No, some people do tell me that, how many fish do you catch when you go fishing? So I'm gonna go over how to identify a phishing email. How does it look? What kind of things do you look for in an email message that is considered to be phishing? So it's
Not only that, they weren't good spellers either. So.
and that's one of the big things. That's one of the big things I'm going to show off. They don't know how to spell. These are, Eastern Europeans. These are, and not to say anything, derogatory, but
Just the way they spell.
it's a cultural thing. Most of these people doing these spam emails are from the, the Middle East, from Asia, and there's a cultural barrier, and it's very obvious. So phishing is something I'm going to touch up in the next few slides, I believe. But look at this.
But don't you think the best way to prevent this, especially like phishing, if you see an email that you're not familiar with, I simply delete it.
Yes.
I don't even open it.
Yes, that is the best way. I'll be completely honest with you.
Right.
This is from a guy who
In other words, if you know that you had no idea of it, or you didn't send it, or it's not coming from a trusted friend or a trusted, reliable source.
If it's not from someone you trust, and if it's not something that you were expecting from that person, there's no issue with getting rid of it. Because you can always ask the person that did send it legitimately to resend it to you.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean,
Go
there's
ahead,
a lot
Wes.
of instances, though, where an individual's email account might actually be accessed by one of these groups looking to gain your contact information and then in turn use your account for the same purpose. Which, I mean, even if you're only opening emails from people you know, you still have to be cautious. Right? It's still a potential threat.
You have to be careful because a lot of these viruses that get on people's machines and malware, they are set up to take over your system and set up to then send out spam from your machine looking like it's from your email address. And I've had this happen a lot of times, and I tell people, if this happens to them, you have to change your email password right away to get that malware to stop sending on your behalf. So it is a big issue, but it usually stems from people either getting infected too easily with malware viruses or having very, very weak email passwords. And passwords is another topic that I'm going to be discussing a little bit, and you might be shocked with what you find out in terms of how safe you think your passwords are. Moving on here, targeted attacks towards businesses. 50% of attacks hit big business, and 50% of attacks that are out there are hitting small to medium-sized businesses. So it's about half and half today in terms of targeted attacks by hackers that are attacking companies. Bot zombies. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but bot zombies actually went down in 2011. Bot zombies are actually what we saw in that video, that Conficker video that we watched. That was every single zombie in that is pretty much one system that is infected, part of the bot network as they call it. So these bot networks are then sold and traded. It's like an underground market. These people, these criminals, infect machines, and they pretty much consider that part of their territory. They might infect you, your husband, all your family members, and they're going to sell all those infections as part of a package to another underground network to pilfer credit card numbers or other information. So that's the way this underground economy works. As we can see, malware is actually getting worse. In 2011, we had 403 million unique variants of malware. And this is malware on the entire scale. This includes malware for Mac and Windows machines, and also smartphones are becoming a part of this problem as well. So malware is a problem for all kinds of devices. It doesn't just have to be a Windows system as people thought, 5-10 years ago. And as we can see here, the overall rate of spam did go down. 2011, only 75% of email. 3/4 of all emails still spam. But we're getting better because in 2010, almost 90% of all email was spam. And look at this here. 1 in every 239 emails, it has a virus attached to it of some sort. So something that you definitely have to be careful about. As we were saying earlier about phishing, same thing is regarding emails that have attachments from unknown parties, especially attachments that are exe files or zip files or any kind of like a COM file, files that can execute themselves and run something. There's no reason anyone should be sending programs in email attached with an email messages, because that is a giveaway sign that that is some sort of virus. Screensavers, free games. I know people and teenagers love to get that stuff and open it up and think it's all legitimate, but you really have to be careful because there's a lot of bad guys out there and they're trying to get on your system to do exactly what we saw earlier on. Okay. And for some reason in 2010, 74% of all spam was pharmaceutical spam. So that went down quite a bit, only 40% last year. Here's a slide I told everyone I was going to show. This is a slide that shows what kind of impacts that happen from all the different attacks that we have going on in terms of malware and hacker attacks. And of the top 5, take a look at what 3 of them are. Number 1, leakage of information. Private information is leaked out. Number 4, planting of malware, putting viruses on someone's machine for the sake of pilfering credit card numbers and other things later on. And then number 5, monetary loss. So stealing money, taking money out of bank accounts. So of the top 5 items, 3 of them are things that really will pertain to a lot of people because they can really have damaging effects on your life if these things happen. And there's a lot of other things that go on: account takeovers, credit card leakage, extortion. There's so much that goes on in terms of what these attacks are meant to cause. So the best thing is to be prepared and not allow this to happen to you in the first place. So phishing, very important topic. And as I said, this is not going out and casting any lines and picking up fish from the lake. This is actually where someone sends an email message to you. And this could be not just broadcasted to you. Most phishing is sent out to hundreds of thousands of people at a given time. And they're trying to get just 1 or 2 suckers, because even 1 or 2 suckers is going to plant a credit card number in a web page or give out some other piece of information that they want to pilfer off of you. So a phishing email, this is an example of one that actually I received just a few months back, and I thought it was a perfect example to show off here. This is from PayPal. If anyone uses eBay or any other shopping websites, PayPal is a big intermediary for processing your credit card, so you don't have to give out your credit card number to all these different shopping websites. It's like a go-between, like a middleman, and it's very big on eBay if you do anything with eBay. So this is what I received, and if I didn't know better, and I didn't take a look at this email, I might have thought that this is a legitimate email because this is formatted for the most part in the way that PayPal sends emails. And that's giveaway number 1. Most of the time, these spammers and these people that send out phishing are very well thought out in the way they do this. I'll tell you their spelling, as we can see, because they put the formatting, they put the proper images, they use the border art as we see in these kinds of emails. So for the most part, if you don't take a second glance, you might get caught. But what's some of the things that we can see in this email that tells us that it's illegitimate? First things first, I should have put a red box around this, but a very high security or a very sensitive email. Actually, the subject line, you can take a look and see they only capitalized the last part of it, but all the first part of it was not capitalized. PayPal would never do that. Microsoft would never do that. That's one giveaway. Second giveaway, this is from a Gmail account, and one of the reasons I like Gmail so much is because they always show you what computer system actually sent that message to you. Some other systems don't show you this, but Gmail will always show you at the top of messages. If you take a look, they say it's from PayPal, but if you see here, look who that came from. dime134.dizing.com. That has nothing to do with PayPal. If that was sent by PayPal, that would have had sent via paypal.com. And we know right away that would be a legitimate message, but this is completely fake message. And that's one of the giveaways there. And as I put here, that's sent by a third-party email system. So they spoofed. It's called spoofing a legitimate email sender, making yourself look like Someone legitimate, but we can tell that it wasn't really PayPal. Here's another item. Well, the misspelling. Right off the bat, we can see that customer was spelled C-O-S-T-M-U-E-R. Very bad spelling. Sometimes it's not as glaring and obvious, but always look for misspelled items in these emails, because when Microsoft or anyone sends out very important messages, there will not be any spelling mistakes in there. They are very good about that. So look for the dead giveaways in terms of spelling. And over here, again, this is actually a problem with translation, items that make 0 sense here. So look what they put at the bottom of the email. Please don't reply to this email. It'll just confuse the computer that sent it, and you won't get a response. What kind of a crazy? I mean, it makes us laugh, but someone, unless you read that, you wouldn't see what kind of a goofy message that's in there. Again, things that just don't make sense. That just someone wouldn't put in the message. That's something that you have to look for. That loss in translation. Those people from the Middle East and Asia trying to make something sound like it'd be sent by PayPal. But that's an obvious giveaway that that's not from them. So here's some other things. This is actually, we combined slides from our 2 different presentations because there were some good things in here as well. Another thing to look for are links within the email. This is the biggest way that people that send out phishing and spam infect machines, is because they put in links that look like they're going to a legitimate page. So for example, this is going to a banking website, but look where it's actually going. If we hover over that link, all you have to do, any computer, if you hover over a link within your email, I know for sure in Windows, Wes, on Mac as well, this happens? Yes.
Linux too.
So if you hover over it, you will see what page it's actually going to. Look where that's going. 192.168.255, it's not going to the bank. If this was a legitimate link and you hovered over it, you would get the same response here as you're getting on this item here. There has to be a 1-to-1 match. If there is any discrepancy like that, it's a dead giveaway. That's going to a spammer's page, a virus-infected page, something other than where you should be going. So definitely check your links.
And some browsers, this URL, a second one, will show up on the bottom of your page rather than immediately over it. So if you hover in a particular browser and you don't see the true link, look on the bottom of your page because it's probably on the bottom bar.
So that's very important. This is actually one of the first things I would do before you click on a link within any banking email, especially banking, Facebook emails, anything to do with you logging into some kind of secure system. Check and make sure that's taking you to a place that it's supposed to be going to. Because if you see something like that, you definitely do not want to be going there. So some of the other things within here, threats. This is something that wasn't in the last slide, but usually spammers or people that are sending out these phishing messages, again, they're doing social engineering, they're playing on our fears, they're playing on our emotions, and they're going to threaten us. They're going to say your account is going to be blocked. I got a spam email a few days ago that said my UPS account was going to be shut down if I didn't verify my username and password. They would never send anything like that within the email. They would call you, and they would send you a postal mail, something in snail mail to tell you that you have to check your account. But they would never send you an email asking for credentials to be put in within a link like that.
I actually got a really good story. There was a user whose computer I was cleaning up this past weekend, and his computer, every time he turned it on, it would take him to this one web page, wouldn't let him do anything else on his computer, and it said, "The FBI has halted access to your internet. Please go to Walgreens and buy a prepaid card and pay this fine." And they were accusing him of things that would require like a 30-year prison sentence. So anything that sounds too good to be true, especially if it's getting out of a jail sentence with a prepaid card from Walgreens, I'd advise calling a technician, having your computer looked at, and totally disregarding that. Because the second that you give them your information, the situation only gets worse. Because now they have your identity, they can now really start exploiting you. So
another big thing that they like to do is so legitimate emails are just going to say Facebook or Microsoft Corporation or Apple Corporation. These guys go a step further and they're going to scare you by saying Facebook Copyrights Department or saying Microsoft Anti-Piracy Department or Microsoft Compliance Department. They're going to try to be as blatant as they can that this is from some scary part of the company. So that's one of the things to just keep in mind. When you see that, it's just part of the tale that tells us of all these things, that this is just a fake email message that got sent to us, okay? So definitely be on the lookout. These things do still exist. I still get them. Wesley still gets them. And a lot of customers are still getting them because we get asked about it every single week. So I hope you at least take away something about how to identify these phishing emails. And again, if you have any kind of question about it, if you think that the company might be looking for some information from you, what can you do? You can delete it, or you can just call them. Find their number on their actual website, call them, ask them, did you guys send out an email message about my account needing to be verified? And they'll tell you right away if it's legitimate or not. Just call a representative and ask them. Okay? So that begs the question of, what kind of email should we be using? What kind of email system should we be using to stay safe these days? It's ever more important to realize that not all email systems are alike. I know that we all get free accounts with Comcast and the different services that we have. But in terms of what is the safest service that we found out there to use, it's actually Google's Gmail service. And the reason behind that is that Google's spam filtering and phishing filtering systems, as well as the ability to pluck viruses out of emails, is so much more advanced than what I've seen from Yahoo or AOL or places like Comcast, that people are generally going to be the safest and be most comfortable by using the Gmail service. And you can sign up for a free Gmail account right at gmail.com. Gmail's totally free. You can get as many accounts as you want. They don't want people to make that many accounts, but still, if you want to make a few accounts for yourself, some accounts for your family, feel free to do so. It's completely free. You get 10 gigabytes of email storage space, which is quite a bit more than most other people offer. And take advantage of it, because Gmail offers a lot of security mechanisms that the other guys don't have. And in terms of the landscape that we have in terms of spam and phishing going on today, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't really consider jumping ship and using a very secure email service like this. And if you have Google Apps at your company, a customer here that we moved over to Google Apps just a few months ago, you have the power of Gmail behind you, so you also get all those nice security features as well. So what I'm saying here is you don't have to run out and change your email service tonight, but think about, or at least consider switching email providers, maybe a few months down the road, and share that email address out with everyone that you communicate with, so that you don't become a victim of some of these different attacks that we see going on. Do you want to say something, Wes?
Who here has an AT&T, Ameritech, or SBC Global email address? Something to keep in mind, we had a large-scale client who was actually doing business off of their AT&T email account, and Yahoo had asked her to go ahead and reset her account. Well, she was no longer an AT&T customer. She had switched to Comcast, and as I'm sure a lot of you guys that have switched know, it switches to a limited account. If you find yourself in that situation, there's no way to reset your password. You have to call AT&T's technical support, and they will not help you because you're no longer a paying customer of theirs. And this person ended up losing full access to their email account and was forced to create a new one. If you currently have any sort of AT&T account, I highly recommend switching to Gmail or any other service. One thing that you can keep in mind is if you do switch, you can set your new incoming emails that come to your old email address to go to the new one until your friends and family are used to that new address. So you won't lose any emails. You'll still get all your emails as you normally would, with probably half the spam you do now.
Yeah, one of the other biggest things, and I'm glad Wes mentioned that, is that when you get tied into like a Comcast email or something other provided by your internet service, like Wes said, when you leave, you don't have many rights over that email address. So even if you tell them, I want to keep that, AOL sometimes lets a lot of people keep their old email addresses, but AT&T doesn't like doing it. I know Comcast is very strict about it. So just keep that in mind. When you stay tied into an email like that, you are at the helm of being a paying customer, and as soon as you leave that service, they're going to take that email address away. And even if they do let you keep it, you're going to be paying a monthly surcharge just to have that email. Why pay for it in the first place? Google offers a great service completely free. Passwords. Passwords is another topic that I love to talk about because this is something people don't take very seriously. And here's a few things that I want to just discuss before I get into a little bit more about passwords. And this is things that we tell people all the time, but they just seem to forget always. So I just want to bring them up once more in the presentation. In terms of important passwords, don't put them on stickies by your computer. I see a lot of people do it a lot of times, but think about this. If that's a laptop that you're taking around with you and you have your email password taped onto the bottom of your laptop, what happens when that gets stolen? That's now gone. So even if that laptop gets out, even if you do manage to change your password, you don't know how long someone has been in that account. You don't know how many contacts they've already pilfered off your account, what they've sent out on your behalf that you didn't want them to send out, or what kind of information that they found from there that they shouldn't have had access to. So any kind of secure items like that, I mean, in an office setting, where you're around coworkers that and it's a little bit of a safer environment, there's some leniency, use discretion in that regard, but if it's a laptop like this laptop where I'm taking it with me to customer locations, I am not putting Post-it notes, any kind of notes on here for myself, because if that gets lost, all those things that were on there are in the person's hands that took the device. So just keep that in mind for yourself. That's something I see so many people do, and it really makes me cringe. Go ahead, Wes.
I mean, there was one customer I worked with. She had a 3-page laminated list of all of her passwords that she had printed out, actually taken to a service to have laminated, so now all those people that service know her passwords, and then she taped it up next to her computer. She had an electrician in her house. Her password list goes missing for a given period of time. She goes absolutely nuts about it, and it ends up that the thing went underneath her desk. But I mean, there is an inherent risk with writing down the password and keeping it somewhere out in the open. There are ways to securely manage your passwords. There's keychain utilities for your computer where you can access all your passwords from one central location. All you have to do is remember your one password. That's one option. Just try very hard not to physically keep it next to your computer.
Put it in a nice envelope that says top secret on it, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, if you're going to write the password down or passwords down, that's fine, but don't put them in places that are so easy to get to. At least make it challenging. At least put it in a place, like in an envelope, fold it up, put it somewhere in a drawer where someone that's just coming by into the office or into your home wouldn't be able to just grab it, put it in their pocket, and walk away with it. Because whatever passwords are on there, that's theirs now. It's out of your hands. Here's another bad thing. Don't use passwords that are purely based on words from the dictionary. My dog Alexis, I love Janice. Any kind of words that are straight or string of words that are straight from the dictionary, those are very bad because you become highly at risk for what's called a dictionary cracking attack. And a dictionary cracking attack is nothing more advanced than an attacker that has a very powerful, not even that powerful computer system that just goes ahead and tries every combination of words in the dictionary, this way, that way, and puts them together and tries to get into your account. And this has happened. I do have customers where this has happened to, and almost 100% of the time it's because they had very, very simple passwords without any numbers, without any exclamation marks or special characters off the keyboard. You always want to have something that can't just be pulled straight from the dictionary. Okay? If you have a word and you connect a number to the end of it, or some special characters, you're generally in a lot better shape. But nothing that exists in the form like this, where it's just straight words out of the dictionary, that is a very, very bad combination to have in terms of a password. Not all systems enforce this, but we like to tell people, make sure your passwords are at least 8 characters long. When I say characters, combination of special characters, letters, and numbers. If it's shorter than 8 characters, if it's a very complex password, you're going to be all right. But generally people, when they make very short passwords, they're generally not very secure. So that's why I tell people if it's at least 8 characters long, they generally make it something that's going to be a little bit tougher to get into. And the last part here, do use a combination of uppercase letters, numbers, and special characters. The more complexity that goes in your password, the better off you are going to be, and the less likely you are going to have your account gotten into. Email, bank account, anything like that. They're all susceptible to a certain degree of being broken into from very insecure passwords. So here's an interesting little demonstration I'm going to give in just a moment for everyone that thinks their passwords are very safe and secure. We're going to see how safe and secure those passwords are. I'm going to launch that in just a moment because it's a really neat demonstration. Top 5 passwords used by people, whether you know this or don't know this. Not too crazy, but from ESET, the company that makes NOT32 antivirus, they found out that the top 5 passwords. Password is number 1, of course, and then we have the popular combination of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A little bit longer combination of the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then QWERTY, which is just the left uppermost set of characters on any traditional keyboard. So these are all very insecure passwords because these will be very easily be cracked open by even the most amateur of hackers or password crackers that are out there. This little utility that I'm going to bring up here, this is called the Password Haystack Calculator, and this is from an individual by the name of Steve Gibson. Steve Gibson is a very highly regarded expert in the realm of internet and computer security. It's someone that we refer to a lot when we're looking for information about computer security these days, and he came up with the concept of the password haystack. And this is nothing more than saying he believes that everyone's password is just a needle in a haystack. It just depends on how big that needle is. The bigger the needle means that the easier password it is to find out. So he believes that any password can be cracked, and he has this neat little calculator that shows off how much time it takes to crack these passwords that we create for our computers these days. So I'm going to bring up this calculator because it's very neat and it really exposes some of the insecurities that we have due to passwords. And he was on ABC and a few other news networks with this when he was showing off how easy it is to get into some of these common passwords. So I want someone to tell me, don't tell me what your password is, okay? Tell me an example of a simple or any kind of password that you may use for any kind of computer system. Just blurt something out, anything someone might. Academic?
2012.
Okay, so Academic 2012, the calculator says that for a hacker or a cracker that has a very, very advanced computer system, it'll take him about 13 hours to crack that password. For an attacker that has a relatively good machine, about 1.5 years to crack it. And someone that is, an amateur, probably about 1.55 million centuries. So that password is actually pretty decent. But something a lot simpler, just to show you. For example, the worst password that was on the top 5 password list. Password. Okay, we're going to see how bad of a password this is. If I type in password, take a look at that. Less than a second to crack that for someone with a very, very good cracking computer system. And for someone that has a decent system, 2.17 seconds. That fast. Only the amateur, it's going to take them almost 7 years to get past that password. But you can see, when we think of passwords, again, this is a matter of every password can be cracked. It's just what kind of computer power, how much time do we have to get that cracked? So let's do another example here, just for sake of showing this off here. My dog, Jamie. So, not that great either. Great computer's going to crack it in 2 seconds. Semi-decent computer in about 25 minutes. And then the amateur is going to get stuck at 46 centuries. So, we can see that even with a little bit of computing power, these crackers have some great hardware at their disposal, and they can really do some damage on some of these bad passwords. So hopefully this gives everyone a good example and a good baseline for thinking about the kind of passwords that we use, remembering that we shouldn't be just using things out of the dictionary, always be adding special characters, adding numbers onto the end of our passwords so that we can make this as hard as possible. Because even if we know every password can be cracked, that's fine. If it's not going to be able to be done in less than a half hour on some of these advanced computer systems, these crackers aren't going to worry about you. They're going to go off to the next easy target. It's sort of the same theory like when an attacker or a thief is going down the neighborhood and they see 10 houses and 2 of them have the sign up in front that says protected by the security system. What are they going to do? They're going to go off to the next easiest person because it's just easier for them. It's just the least amount of work for them. And this works in sort of the same manner. They're going to use the least common denominator and they're going to go after the people that have the really easy stuff. Okay? Any questions about the haystack calculator here? Does it open people's eyes about password security a little bit? So maybe when you go home, you'll change some of those simple passwords that you have?
A little advice to a few people. I mean, try to get a longer password, 10 or more characters if at all possible. There was a school district that we were working with in the area that needed a list of their staff passwords and emails put into a single file because they were moving to a new email system. And because of the way their old email system stored passwords, we had to decrypt all the passwords for all the users. We got through about 100 of them and got about 95% of them correct in under 4 hours. So they were a lot of these really.
And this was just on a laptop?
It was
on a laptop.
server.
Okay.
But still, I mean, this is a regular quad-core computer. Nothing too extreme as far as hardware. And I mean, a lot of these people had really simple passwords, and I mean, this is some really important data that they're protecting. I mean, just be cautious when you pick your password. Make sure it's something that's secure, something that's going to be safe, something that contains numbers, and try to avoid using words. So birthdays are good, social security numbers are good, but then if they do figure out your password, they not know your social. So not your whole social security number, maybe parts of it.
And just as an example, a simple password. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was on that top 5 password list. An amateur is going to get past that in 18 minutes. Just adding on 1 exclamation mark, look how that increases the complexity. Look how long it's going to take the amateur now. 8 years to crack it. 1 more exclamation mark. 3 centuries, 1 more exclamation mark. Almost 2 centuries is going to take them. However, even the fast machine's going to get past it.
This calculator at home.
What was that? Yeah, this is just a public website.
Oh, okay.
If you rewatch the presentation, I can even put this in the email we're going to send out, but it's a very simple, you can go to the website, you can check your own passwords against this calculator. And the more complex that we make our passwords, the harder it's going to be. So I'm going to add a star, money sign, and then dog at the end. Now look at that password. Even the best computer, it's going to take them 1.8 centuries to get past that. That's pretty good. No one's going to get past that kind of a password. So again, I'm not saying go home, make all your passwords as crazy as possible, but be mindful that if it's too simple, you might be at risk. There has to be a balance between high security and being easy to remember. So one of the things that I like to tell people in terms of making passwords, make something that you can, for example, make off of a phrase that you can remember easily. So for example, my dog ate my homework. How can you easily make a password off that? You can do something, my dog ate my homework. Something like that, but increase it with complexity. Something with, either the first letter out of a given sentence and then add your birth year or your birthday to the end of it. Something to make it more complex than it is at face value. Okay? Yeah, so this website, if you want to write it down, I should have put it on the agenda, but if you want to write it down, the website is just grc.com/haystack.htm.
And like Derrick was showing you guys, those special characters, a lot of hackers won't even think to look for those. I mean, most people won't use them in a password.
So yeah, I recommend even at the very least, just go onto the website, have some fun, take a look, and especially take a look at how good your passwords are, because it'll open your eyes. The first time I saw this, I ran some of my passwords on this calculator, and I was shocked. I thought some of mine were pretty decent, but this calculator proved me wrong. And I've been working with security for quite a while, so it really is an eye-opening experience.
One other thing you guys can do with your passwords that really adds complexity. If somebody is a native speaker in say Polish or Spanish, you can use additional characters that aren't available in the English language that will just expand that complexity even more.
And a good tactic that I like to do is replace common vowels with the lookalike numbers. So for example, I replace my O's a lot with zeros. Instead of doing E's, I do 3s. This comes from the sort of computer underground culture, but it's very popular when I tell people for how to make good passwords. Just replace your vowels with numbers. That will increase your complexity very easily, but it's still easier to remember the password. So it's a good way to easily make a password that you don't have to necessarily write down and post a note every single place that you need to store it. Okay? All right, I have one last video I want to show of a social engineering scam that's going on quite regularly. I've heard about it from more than a few customers already, and the reason we show it is because this is a good example of the kind of things that these companies, illegitimate companies, are doing, and in specific, calling you out of the blue to tell you that your computer is infected and you need to pay us, and we're certified by Microsoft, and we're going to clean your machine off, but if you don't do it, Microsoft's going to turn your computer off for good. Or the FBI is going to turn your computer off for good. Again, going to scare you, play on your emotions, threaten you to get you to do something, and they're calling, from some call center somewhere, and all they're looking to do is put a virus in your computer, get a credit card number, or a combination of the things. So what this is actually Symantec, the same company that was interviewed earlier. They made a call to this company that called out to one of the people from their company, and they're going to demo how one of these phone calls looks. So outside of the fact that they initiated the phone call, I've received a lot of questions from my customers about, hey, Microsoft called me and told me that my computer's infected. They wanted me to pay $150 to get it cleaned off, or I would never be able to use my computer ever again. So these kind of calls are coming through, and this will just show you what to be aware of when someone calls you over the phone. In short, Microsoft, no legitimate company will ever call you and say something like this, so that's a telltale sign. But actually, our security class in June, someone actually said they got called by this, and they actually paid the money for this person to do something like this. So people have fallen victim to it that we have met. So let me play the video really quick so everyone can see what I'm talking about. And the people I'm most worried about are the elderly, people that don't have a lot of computer knowledge. These are the ones that these scum of computer users prey on, because they know the elderly are going to fall for it. They're the ones that most likely fall for spam and phishing. They're the ones that are going to fall for social engineering attacks like this. So without further ado, I'm going to play the phone.
We've recently received reports about a technical support phone service where a technician calls and offers to fix problems on your home computer. However, the entire operation is a scam. The reports that we've received suggest that they will tell unsuspecting users a variety of issues exist. In order to get a better understanding of how the scam goes down, we decided to call one of these organizations ourselves. Orla Cox, our response operations manager, volunteered to play the part of an unsuspecting computer user looking for help solving an arbitrary computer problem.
Thanks for calling offline. This is Doctor. How may I help you?
Hi, I'm hoping you can help me with some problems I'm having with my computer. It's very slow at the moment.
It's very slow. And what does it also freeze up at times?
Yes, freezes and kind of crashes sometimes.
Does it also show any kind of error messages to you, like send or don't send?
Yes, I've seen that sometimes.
The test computer we had set up in this case contained a standard version of Windows XP, similar to what a home user might have. We were then connected to a technician who guided us to the event viewer. Now the computer worked just fine, and the errors displayed in the event viewer are a minor issue that can easily be fixed by running Windows Update. However, the tech does not troubleshoot past Orla saying there were errors in the event viewer.
Lots of errors and warnings, right?
Yes, lots of them.
So ma'am, these are the harmful infection, right? This is the malicious and the malware notification, okay? That's the reason why your computer begins slow, alright?
He follows this up with some technical sounding jargon, most of which is completely fictitious.
Every computer has an inbuilt security alert option, right, which gets triggered by any corrupted parts trying to break into the security defense wall of a computer, alright ma'am?
Okay.
And if any one of these errors or warnings, alright, will activate on your system configuration, ma'am, like what will happen anytime your computer might get crashed down, ma'am, okay?
Okay.
Which is really not good for the computer.
Alright.
So no problem, we do have a certified Microsoft technician available right now and I'm going to help you out to fix up the problem to get rid of these errors and warnings. All right?
Okay, great.
In order to have the supposed certified Microsoft technician help us, this technician pointed us to a website where he guided us through the installation of a legitimate third-party remote access program. This allowed online PC doctors to control our computer. At this point, we were put on hold while the remote technician fixed our computer. Fixing basically entailed clearing the temp and prefetch folders and then running built-in Windows applications such as check disk and disk cleanup. When the technician came back on the phone, he had some bad news for us.
So thanks for holding a line, ma'am. So just right now I spoke with my certified technician, okay?
Yes.
He discovered, ma'am, there is a lot of malicious parts and malwares inside your computer, ma'am, okay? So that's the reason why your computer became slow, ma'am, alright?
Okay.
This was obviously not true, but the technician followed up with the cause of the problem along with the solution to it.
So you don't have any basic software maintenance, alright? So that's the reason why it's happening. So as we are also going to provide you a basic software maintenance warranty, ma'am, to upgrade your software, alright?
Okay.
The technician went into sales mode, giving a long explanation about how important a home computer is, leading up to how the service they offer is a bargain.
If you're going to buy from the market, ma'am, it will cost you more than 80 to 100 euros, but we're giving you this free license version and fee for you for whole 1 year. Ma'am.
Okay.
So for whole 1 year, ma'am, we actually charge 129 euros, okay?
The technician guided Orla to the registration page and asked her to provide a number of sensitive details, along with an email authorizing them to charge a credit card. After getting off the phone, we left the PC connected to the remote access tool and our cameras running. After a few minutes delay, a technician proceeded to make changes to the Windows registry, but only modifying settings that make it easier for him to administer their computer remotely. Using a chat client provided with the remote access program, we asked the online PC doctors if the threats had been cleaned from the computer. The technician politely offered to check, and then proceeded to clear the entries from the event viewer and turn off error reporting in Windows. Far from actually fixing anything, this simply meant that no errors would appear in the event viewer. After a couple of support calls with the online PC doctors, we decided to call them directly and talk about their service.
What your technician had done, he claimed that there was malware on the system. However, there was no malware. He cleared the temp folder, the prefetch, ran ScanDisk, and then turned off error reporting on the system. Now, at 129 euros, does that not strike you as a little misleading for charging somebody that when there's indeed no problems with the computer?
Like we have charged 129 euros for all complete years, alright? Where you're getting unlimited support for your computer, so for whole 1 year, okay?
Clearly, they wanted to stress that they're offering a technical support service. However, when asked specifically about the infection, the technician gave contradictory and technically inaccurate answers.
There is no any malware inside the computer, but there are the harmful infection rate, which makes your computer become.
So as we can see, it goes on and they keep talking. Symantec tries, baffles the guy even further, and they try to retract their statements. But this, in general, what you saw here, this is what happens when these companies call you. And this is actually a little bit nicer of a company as opposed to some of the other ones that are a lot more threatening and are going to say, a lot of different things are going to happen to your email and your computer and this and that. Some of the biggest things to take away: companies will never call you out of the blue to tell you that something's on your machine of that nature. Another thing to take away is, in terms of the upsells that the individual was making right away, he was saying, oh, you see a lot of errors on your machine, you need to pay for this subscription to get those cleared off. So these are, all the telltale signs to be careful of with these things. And as I said, these kind of social engineering scams are mostly meant to target those that don't know a lot about the computer, that are afraid, that don't have the knowledge to be able to stand up for themselves and say, hey, this is a bunch of crock. Don't call me about this. It's just a scam phone call. So I hope this opens up everyone's eyes a little bit, just so you know, in case you get one of these calls from someone saying they're Microsoft, they're Facebook, they're some other computer company out there. They will never legitimately call you out of the blue. You have to make that call to them. And another thing that I was going to actually blurt out while the video was going on, did you notice how they were talking to the phone representative while the technician was working? If you're working with a legitimate IT company like ourselves, you're going to be talking to one of us while we're doing the things on your machine. You're not going to be talking to a salesperson that's relaying information to a technician. It's all a big scheme. It's all part of the game of getting the credit card number and stealing information from you. Okay? All right. I'm going to let Wesley take over from here. He's going to go into malware, Wi-Fi, and some of the other things about staying safe on the internet. Okay?
Hello guys, has anyone in this room seen this screen before? Alright, this is one of the most common forms of malware that we see. What this essentially is this is a fake antivirus program. It looks a lot like a program called Windows Defender, which is a free antivirus provided by Microsoft that automatically gets installed on your computer via Windows updates. And the reason that this one is so threatening is because it looks like a legitimate antivirus product. And as you can see, it's telling you that you have a worm, a different type of favorite cookie that looks to be infected, some more worms, something having to do with P2P, even though you probably don't have any sort of file sharing on your computer, and then happy, joke, and then worm. They get a little crafty with the happy joke. They actually include hints that this is an illegitimate program in with it. And then it'll say, scanning 31% of your computer, and you see this nice long bar of additional errors. There's a really good chance that the only infection on your entire computer is this program. And that's really, really common when it comes to this. There's an alternate version that's called Windows XP Antivirus 2012. And I'm sure in a couple of months it'll change its name to 2013 because this is a piece of malware that has instructions to update itself. It's been my experience with it. I have myself seen about 5 different versions of this exact same program. My roommate got it twice. I've seen clients that have gotten this program. But this is just one of the most common, currently widespread forms of malware available. And their entire concept is once they scan your entire computer, what do you guys think they ask you for? They ask you for your credit card information. They will then remove the threat from your computer. Any time that something tries to scare you or intimidate you into handing over money, it's most likely an illegitimate product.
A lot of the times, another big thing with these, you won't be able to, a lot of times they take away your shortcuts on your desktop. All you're going to see on your computer screen is just this item. Again, very threatening. It's going to be the only thing that you can use, the only thing you can click on. And again, when you see something like that, that's an illegitimate piece of software. There's no legitimate program that would be so harsh against you that you wouldn't be able to do anything else in your computer.
Let me actually give you some advice. If you ever do see this one or any other sort of malware that tries to take over your computer, don't click close. Just hold down the power button, turn your computer off, and call a technician. Because what's going to happen is, a lot of times you try closing out this program, and it realizes that you're trying to fight it, and it'll add additional pieces of malware to your system, giving it a deeper and deeper hook into the actual computer, making it harder for a technician to clean later. So the very best thing you can do, second you see anything like this, where it's like obsessively, you're not going to get hit by a virus bomb all in one hit. There's no way you're going to get 15 different infections all at once. It's very, very uncommon. If you ever see anything like this where it doesn't let you click anything else on your computer, doesn't let you go to the internet, or you go to the internet and your computer goes to a website you've never seen before, just hold down your power button, turn it off, don't do anything else, call any reputable technician. They usually do a pretty good job of cleaning it out. I'd advise against Best Buy. They usually just tell you to reformat your computer and back everything up, and then a couple of weeks later you have the same infected computer. But any other technician service would be able to clean it for you. So this is just one example of malware. It's very, very hard to get rid of this sort of program. One other thing I want to talk to you guys about is public Wi-Fi hotspots. Who here uses a laptop or a PC at a Starbucks or at the library here? And anyone use their phone on the Wi-Fi here? I know right now my phone's connected to it. Anytime you're in a cafe or a public place where you're on Wi-Fi, one thing for all you to keep in mind is you're connected to a network with several other people. So in the case of Starbucks, they've actually taken a lot of steps to sort of isolate each computer on the network, so they're sort of in their own little area. In the case of the Park Ridge Library, they don't have that particular security setting. I know that if I have my Mac open, because it is a Unix-based system, I can see every other computer on the network. I can't access them without doing some additional tinkering, but I usually see on a normal weekday a list of about 32 devices on the network. And it's not really going on my way to see them, they just show up under my list of drives. So it's suggesting that there would be the possibility of accessing them. Ways to keep yourself safe. When you log into your computer, always have a password on it. This is one thing that you can't really log into a particular user on your computer if it has a password to it. That would protect you if you have Windows XP or Windows 7 or Windows Vista. Additionally, this would also work for Windows 8 when it comes out. One thing to keep in mind, always ask which Wi-Fi network is the correct one. For example, if you go to Starbucks and you see a Wi-Fi address that says Starbucks, it's not real. Starbucks' actual Wi-Fi address always says AT&T. AT is the service provider. If you go to Buffalo Wild Wings and it says Buffalo Wild Wings, that's an invalid Wi-Fi address because their actual Wi-Fi address is HarborLink. It's just one thing to keep in mind when you're at a given location and you're looking to use their Wi-Fi. It's probably a good idea to ask.
So if you see the wrong, you're at Starbucks and it says Starbucks, then what do you do?
If you're at Starbucks and it says Starbucks, you can attempt to tell the barista. There's a 99% chance that she'll say okay and continue with her day.
That was helpful.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing is don't connect to it. You don't want to
Yeah.
jump on that network. That's the biggest thing.
I mean,
Make sure you don't go onto it.
what'll happen many times when you jump on these networks is it's really what's known as a man-in-the-middle attack, where somebody's acting as an intermediate and probably connecting to the legitimate network to funnel the traffic from your laptop to their laptop, then to the legitimate Wi-Fi source. And the advantage to this is any sort of encryption, any sort of security that goes from the website you're trying to access to your final destination of that website gets trapped by this man-in-the-middle attack, and they're able to get your passwords, any security certificates they need to log into your account, and then transfer thousands and thousands of dollars from Chase into their own personal account in the Caymans. It is a serious thing to watch for, and people have gotten attacked at Barnes & Noble, Starbucks, Panera. I mean, it happens. Panera is another one where they've actually taken steps to isolate their network. A couple years back, I had the same problem with an older Mac where I'd see the entire list of users. It doesn't happen anymore. You can still see them based on their address, so there is a way of getting to them, but it limits the number of kids that want to get into the hacking sphere from actually accessing it. Don't browse banks from a Starbucks. That's my number one advice. Even if it isn't set up with a man-in-the-middle attack, there are still security provisions that people can take to break your password. Definitely try to avoid that. If you have a cell phone, who here has a wireless hotspot on their phone? That's a great way to browse the web. Clear offers Wi-Fi wireless internet service. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile all offer wireless hotspot access. You had a question? Oh, sorry. But these individual internet connections are fully encrypted between the tower and yourself, and I have not heard of a single instance in which they have yet been hacked. So that is definitely a secure way of browsing the web. Do keep in mind that a lot of those services cap data at 2 to 4 gigs. So you definitely...
And you can get that. You know, a lot of people think when they think of personal hotspot, they think of the extra little device you have to get from the provider, but it's not true. A lot of phones now offer where you can just get it right off your phone, like iPhone or the latest Android phones. You can just connect from your laptop to your phone, which connects to the cell tower, and that's a very safe connection.
In some cases, they do charge additional for data. I don't think there are particular programs you can install that legally give you the ability to share your data. Another thing, be watchful of suspicious people. When that person is sitting in the back of the Panera with his back to the wall, with his laptop turned towards the corner where no one else can see him, he's being all suspicious and whatnot.
And you saw this in person yourself.
Yeah, I guess I might as well tell this story. Who remembers the power outage a couple of years ago? Let me rephrase that. Who doesn't remember the power outage? Okay. A lot of the different Paneras, I don't know if you guys remember Panera Bread over here on Northwest Highway was one of the first ones to get their power back, and I didn't see it there. But essentially, I was going around hunting down Wi-Fi because, I had no electricity. So I'm in this cafe, and the first thing I realize is, that my Facebook page suddenly has a new message on it that wasn't there a few moments ago. And what I find out is that there's other people in this cafe complaining of the same thing. So, you start asking yourself some questions. And what it turns out was that somebody from the same computer, every computer has what's called a MAC address. It's a hardware identifier. It cannot be changed. You can spoof it, but most people aren't smart enough to do that. So what I noticed was that this one computer was logging into Facebook with all these different authentication codes. And who's heard of a cookie before? Okay. When you log into Facebook, it generates a cookie. And this cookie basically says, for the period of time that you're using Facebook, this user is allowed into this account. And what he would do is, while you were browsing the web at that particular Panera, he'd take that login cookie, inject it into his browser, and log into your Facebook account without needing your username or password. He'd then post onto your wall, friend all your friends, send messages to everybody, and he did this all automatedly, taking advantage of the fact that no one in the area had power. I ended up reporting this person's MAC address because, like I had said, that they were posting from multiple locations, and it turned out that this guy was actually jumping all over the Chicagoland area, posting things on people's Facebook walls and hacking into their computers. He actually ended up, as far as I'm aware, getting caught. It wouldn't have taken much to find him. But that is one thing to keep in mind. It does happen in the real world. You can become a victim. I mean, anytime where a large group of people are clustered into a small area in a desperate situation where they aren't really thinking about their security, but rather, how can I get on the internet now? People are going to take advantage of that. I mean, that's a pre-configured social situation where they can take advantage of your privacy, your computer, and your security. So be watchful of suspicious people in the corner of the Panera. I mean, there's no way around it. Not just Panera. I don't want to alienate Starbucks. I mean, all these places are. Don't skip over to open unknown networks. Not only if it says Starbucks or it's the wrong network name, don't attach yourself to the Wi-Fi network that suddenly shows up in your living room labeled free Wi-Fi and decide it's a good idea to cancel Comcast today.
A lot of customers ask me, hey, I don't need internet because I'm just using the neighbors, their free Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, you open yourself up to situations like this.
And just because your neighbor's Wi-Fi network's open and you know for sure that they're not a hacker and they say it's even okay, as long as their network's open, anyone else in your building or in that neighborhood can still access their network. So even if you guys are sharing a Wi-Fi network and you're comfortable with them, do advise that they put a password on it. I mean, I know a lot of people that live in condos that make a deal, I'll give you $10 if you let me share your internet. That's totally fine in my book, but do make sure that that network is protected.
Okay, so are you saying you're not safe even to check your email?
I wouldn't advise it. If you're in a public spot, there is a way to make sure that you're safe checking your email. It's not 100% foolproof. You have to make sure that you're on the true Wi-Fi network. It really has to say AT&T when you're at Starbucks, Barnes & Noble, whatnot. And we'll go over that in a couple of slides. I just want to make sure we go through this list. This is a program called Kiskamac, and what it is it's a Wi-Fi injection program. If you think that you have a safe Wi-Fi network at home, who here has their Wi-Fi set up with a WEP security key? Okay, not everyone knows what that is for sure, but there's 3 types of security standards, and if you do have the instruction manual for your router, please go home and check. If you don't have a password, this doesn't really count to you, but do pick one of the last 2 that I say. The first one's WEP. This is a hex code that goes in as your password. The other 2 are WPA and WPA2. Those last 2 are the 2 safest. This particular program is designed to break into Wi-Fi networks. So if, say, your neighbor wants to use your internet illegitimately without your permission, this program, what it will do is they will start scanning your Wi-Fi network. This one's a Linksys router. And what they'll do is they'll collect a number of packets on your system until they have enough injectable packets that they can then crack your Wi-Fi network. And what this will do is it'll grab that handshake key. Every time your computer logs onto your router, it shakes hands with your router, passes a key back and forth, verifying that it's a legitimate computer that should be on the network. Unfortunately, with these WEP networks, they're vulnerable to an attack like this, and what will happen is it'll collect roughly about 20,000 units, and then they'll be able to extract your password from it simply by going ahead, hitting crack, and selecting one of the 3 password attacking methods. Like I said, what I recommend, picking WPA or WPA2. It will take them months and months to guess your password. And if you're really concerned about it, change your password every 2 months or so. That way, even if they do figure out what your password is, by the time they do, you've already changed it. I usually change my Wi-Fi password every 2 months or so myself, because I do live in a condo complex right now, and it's probably a pretty good idea to do so, especially if you're in that densely populated area. Now, you guys had asked me, how do we make sure that browsing our email is safe from a public Wi-Fi hotspot? And one way to be sure of this is what's called an SSL certificate, or HTTPS. Who here has seen the S on the end of their HTTP address before? Anyone? All right. What you do when you...
I'm not looking.
Oh, here's what you do. If you're in a public location and you're checking your email, let's say it's Gmail, the address would be HTTPS, and then the normal characters mail.google.com or gmail.com. So always make sure that it doesn't just say HTTP, but rather HTTPS. That way the S stands for secure. And also make sure that this is green or that the lock's locked. If this comes up red, there's a good chance you're on an insecure network.
And Gmail was one of the first, Google is one of the first companies that started forcing this on their login page for Gmail. So if you use Gmail, you are using this form of security every single time you go to gmail.com. It's the other email providers that really aren't starting to do this just yet.
I know Yahoo does do it, but they don't force it. Before you log in, make sure that that S is there. Every time, even if you're at home, it's not going to hurt to check. It's a good practice to get into, especially if you're checking your stuff in public. I avoid it. I actually have a browser plugin that automatically adds the S and gives me an error if it's not there. So for every website, if I'm browsing Google, it has the S enabled. If I'm using other websites, eBay, PayPal, I Chase banking. I actually do most of my banking from my phone just because it's safer. It really is. There's a Chase mobile app for Android and iPhone. I know that there's a Bank of America app. If you're using any of these, do your banking from your phone. It's usually, if you're on the bus and you have to pay your credit card bill, there's nothing wrong with doing it from your phone because it's always going to be a secure connection. Any questions about the secure login? This is a simple explanation of it. There's a whole complex reason behind why this works and tunneling and all this other stuff, but remember to look for the S. One alteration to this that it could be, the S can be in front of the H also. So some websites will have it in front, some websites will have it in back. So just make sure there's an S somewhere in the first 4 or 5 characters of your address. One other thing, who wants to actually see a password hack? I'm going to do one really fast for you guys. You guys interested? All right. Here's what we have. Does anyone use FTP for work? Now, what FTP stands for is File Transfer Protocol. This is a way of sending files from one computer to another. I'm going to have to change my password after this. I just realized that. Oh well. Alright, so what we do is, let's see. Let me check something really fast, guys. It's running a little slow tonight for us. Alright, I'll pretty much show you guys how this works. What we have here on our desktop is a program called Wireshark, and what this does is it simply picks up on all the packets on a network, and this is the same program that this other hacker was using to get Facebook cookies. And what this will do is you'll pick a network card or the network that your computer is currently connected to. I believe the second one is Derrick's Wi-Fi. And you go ahead.
Do the wire.
Just gonna restart it really fast. So we go ahead, we start the wired connection, and you see this is all the information for the entire library's network just being displayed in front of you. And there's a whole bunch of different queries being asked. People are asking what IP is what, and in many cases they'll simply give back the correct web address or any particular amount of information. Now, just showing a lot of people this screen is enough to scare the bejesus out of them because it is terrifying. This is every piece of information in the entire library. Mind you, a lot of it's encrypted, so it's pretty safe. And you only run this program on a network that you really belong on. So when we do security tests, we usually set up our own router, but this does give a good visual since we're not going to do anything particular with it. Now all we do is we type in FTP, and now there's a filter in looking for one particular type of data. And what will happen here is in this FTP window I set up, it's asking me for my username and password. Now, assuming that I had put in the right password, I can't tonight. I'll go ahead and say log in, and it'll give me a warning. But at the same time, what we have here, and this is kind of terrifying, shows me the username. It was LinuxGX, password required. And the password I put in was pizza pie. Now, as you guys can all read it, it's right here at the end. It says pass pizza pie. Now, had I put in my actual email address, a hacker who's watching the FTP connections in a public Wi-Fi hotspot, and like I said, the Parker's library doesn't really have a protected network to it, would then be able to log into my FTP account, delete all my websites, all the work I've done for clients, and completely trash everything that I've done for, say, the last year. And I mean, this is a free program that anyone can download. It's 100% legal. There's no reason you can't have this program on your computer. The FBI can come in, they can make accusations, they can't say anything about you having this. It's a completely legitimate security tool for a network analyzer. The other one I also showed, Kiskomac, it's also free public domain. It's developed by an open source community, and it's a completely legitimate program to own. And while these tools can definitely be used for negative reasons, it is good to keep in mind that these are out there and that you need to be on the lookout for it. So that's that. One other thing, we have a library patron over at Niles who likes to come in all the time and he finds about 1 million different ways to infect his computer. His personal favorite are USB drives. Now, we've set him up with the most extensive security suite on earth, but if you're not diligent with your media, you're still going to get a warning every once in a while that something's infected. Now, are floppies and USB drives really that safe? Who here thinks that having a USB drive from work and using it on your home computer is necessarily a safe idea, because you know you have an antivirus at work and you know that you're running the best security tool at home? What do you guys think? It really depends. I mean, both computers, if they both have really good security software, it can definitely be a safe option. But many other times, some people have a USB drive or a floppy disk that's been sitting around for 5 years, just sitting in their basement. They need to go restore their computer, and they've made backups or copies for a friend at some point. They go, they reinstall their computer, and they end up with an infection that starts sending out a message. Now, mind you, if the virus is 5 years old, there's a very good chance it's not really good for very much, but it is still something to keep in mind, since many of the older viruses tend to be more disruptive. I had a virus a couple of years back that took it upon itself to attach a copy of itself to every single image on my entire computer, and it did this for about a week. After about a week of making copies of itself on every form of media, every image on my computer, it decided to delete the contents of the image with a copy of itself. So I lost every home photo I had, every vacation for the last 6 years that I've been doing digital. Now, it was really disappointing because I'd really gotten into digital photography at the time, but be really cautious when you're storing stuff to USBs. The really dangerous one, if you have a DVD photo album that happens to be infected and that CD is sealed, there's no way to actually delete the virus from the disk. You have to copy all the photos off of it, make sure that you're using a computer that has secure software, and then put those photos, once they're scanned, under another medium so that they're safe again. Safer options in the event of a completely different issue with floppies and USB drives. What can you guys tell me can happen to physical media in your home? Has anyone here had their homes flood at any point? Basements flood? I had a whole bunch of PCs sitting on the floor of my basement during that same power outage week, and our sub pump failed and flooded about 6 different desktop PCs. I really liked that storm, that's all I can say. And what happened was, I lost all the files on those things. Unfortunately, they were PCs that were about to get donated to inner city schools rather than anything I was actually personally going to use. Equally devastating to me emotionally, but not so much a loss of data. But let's assume that those had actually contained important information, say servers, websites, something that really mattered to my clients. They'd all be lost unless I use a cloud storage option such as Google Drive or CrashPlan. I'm not going to, really hide it at all. We're really big supporters of Google. I'm a Google deployment specialist, so is Derrick, and we have a lot of different experience working for Google. And the largest product and probably the cheapest for backups is Google Drive. Another good alternative that we put out there is CrashPlan, and then there's also another program called SugarSync that does a pretty good job. I feel it updates too often, but Google Drive is pretty solid. And what these do is they store your data remotely in the cloud. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been hearing about the cloud lately. There's been a huge push towards moving yourself into the cloud. And this is sort of a concept where all your data isn't stored directly on your computer, but rather on the internet in a secure, safe place. Google has some of the largest data centers in the world, and when you upload your information to Google, there's always going to be that guarantee that there's at least 2 copies of your file somewhere. So if one copy gets deleted, there's probably another one to take its place. So you have that redundancy that you never have on your actual computer. I think that for 500 gigabytes of data, Google charges $129 a month. And the reasoning behind that is it's an astronomical amount of data to store in the cloud. A lot of other services would charge, is it per year or per month? I mean, it's a rather large amount of data to store in the cloud, be able to have access to it at all times. They also do offer free accounts that you can use, up to 5 gigs of storage on their cloud servers.
If you have Gmail, everyone has 5 gigs free with Google Drive on Gmail.
So
free.
So if you have important documents, legal documents that you don't want somebody to delete, somebody get in there and maliciously destroy, you can store them on Google Drive for free. They will be encrypted using Google's algorithms, and they'll be completely safe. And it's a completely free service. If you need to add additional memory, they have an option to upgrade it. It's a really secure, safe option. I started using multiple Google Drive accounts. I have a system where I get 10 gigs free because I'm a business owner. And what I'll do is I put my music into 10 gigs and all my pictures into 10 gigs. You just create multiple accounts and link them to different things. That's one way around it. I don't recommend it because if they catch on, they'll get angry at you. Just also, one thing to keep in mind, CD-ROMs, if you are going to back up all your stuff to DVD, put them in a lockbox that's fireproof. If your money's not going to burn up in a lockbox, usually your CD should be fine. Also, in the event that your floppy drive, USB drive, or laptop is stolen, and let's say that somebody comes in your house, burglarizes it, and takes everything, including your backup copies of all your family photos, all your financial information, everything, you definitely want to have all that backed up in a secure place, and this is one option for doing so. Some safe shopping tips online. You guys remember what I said about that S. The same thing goes for online websites. One of the largest things that have been coming up lately is a lot of imitation products, falsified products. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. If you go online and there's a, say a Prada bag or some sort of Coach bag online for, say, $50, I think most of the women in this room know that that's a completely bogus, most likely counterfeit product. Please avoid buying it. I never use debit cards online. Who here has used a debit card for an online purchase before? Avoid it at all costs. If you use a credit card online, you have buyer protection through Visa and MasterCard, I know for sure. And they'll usually reimburse you for any falsified purchases on your behalf and then issue you a new card. Don't follow suspicious shopping links in emails. Go to the actual site itself. So if you see a deal on eBay for Air Jordans at $15 off its normal price, usually they'll embed a coupon code or something into it that you can actually go to eBay and then use at checkout. They won't require you to link to eBay. If it does, you go up to that URL bar on the top, make sure that it's actually ebay.com, nothing before it, and then click enter, and it'll reload it where you know for sure that that's legitimately eBay. Research your seller before buying. A lot of times I'll use a product called Google Shopping. And what this does is it shows you a list of all the retailers that are selling a given product in an area. And many times I'll look them up and they have a seller review rating of 1 out of 5 because only 1 out of 5 times do they actually deliver the product as promised, or there's defects or they turn out to be counterfeit products. Always do your research. Google is your friend a lot of times when you're looking at an individual seller. Make sure that you're buying it for someone that actually is real. Also, don't just go by the first 3 links. Go down bottom of the page, second page, because a lot of times these illegitimate sources will make fake websites propping up their product. If there's anything that seems suspicious about a seller, avoid them. Try to stick with eBay, Amazon. They're both really secure places to shop online.
This website here that I put up, Reseller Ratings, it's a great website. Almost any shopping website that's legitimate on the web has a listing on there, and people go on and review all the resellers on the internet. So resellerratings.com is a very trusted place to see, is this shopping website good or are they bad?
One other thing I want to give to you guys, and this is probably the best website, and I'm amazed we haven't put this on the slide yet. It's called retailmenot.com. And what this is it's an online coupon code and discount website. We use this website on a daily basis. The other one is slickdeals.com. Me and Derrick just used this the other day to get 30% off of a rather expensive item. So these are some good links if you guys are looking for discounts. Try to keep you off the more notorious websites that are just trying to give you a virus. Is there a safe way to use eBay? Who here is an eBay shopper? Okay. Always make sure that the sellers that you're buying from have at least a 98.9% review rating. Anything lower is usually suspicious. Try to buy from U.S. sellers, mainly because you'll actually get your product within a week or two. If you buy anything from China, many times your product will show up 2 months later. And that's totally fine because it's included in their shipping terms. Something else to keep in mind, how long they've had positive feedback, what their feedback rating is, and how many sales they've conducted during their history with eBay. If somebody has 1 star and 100% review rating, don't shop with them because they've only had 1 customer in their entire life experience.
And that is a telltale sign for people selling pirated goods or illegal goods because they are being kicked off the service so frequently, they have to go back on and keep making new accounts. So they might get a few feedback from a few people that it might be fake items, fake reviews for them just to make themselves look good. But that's why we say be careful. You don't want to shop with any of these people, especially if it's something too good to be true, like expensive item that's showing up for half price. And they're one of these people that have, a 3-star rating from 3 shoppers. That's a telltale sign. There's probably someone that is doing something shady on the service. A customer of ours actually bought a copy of, what's the program called? Help me out here. The Intuit software. QuickBooks? Yeah, a copy of QuickBooks off of eBay, and it turned out that this program showed up in a box. Then we actually compared it to the real product. The only way that we can identify the difference between the software are 2 things. A, it wouldn't install. B, the hologram on the inside of the CD was flipped, and some of the images were slightly lighter on the cardboard box. The actual cutout of the box, the entire packaging, everything was 100% identical. If the key had worked, there's a 99.9% chance that we never would have known. And you just have to be diligent. If something doesn't work, call up the manufacturer. They'll tell you right off the base whether or not it's real or not because they're seeing these counterfeits show up in their headquarters, and return it to the seller. Just tell them this is a counterfeit product. I can almost guarantee you hardly any of them will argue with you because they don't want to get shut down. And there's a good chance that they didn't know it was an illegitimate product. Some of them do. They'll usually refund you once you get your money back. Maybe report them. That's up to you. But restrict your purchases to the U.S. Like I said, you get them faster, and it's more legit. Never buy from sellers that use payment methods other than PayPal. Back in the day, it was really common to use money order on eBay. Not anymore. PayPal is owned by eBay. It's a completely safe way to use transactions on the internet. Always use credit cards when paying for eBay items. So in case somebody does steal your eBay, your PayPal password and login, you'll be reimbursed by your credit card company. Research your seller before bidding and buying. Many times it means through the eBay buyer review, and super low prices on name brand, denoted, stolen, or knocked off goods. I buy a whole bunch of things for my iPhone that I know are completely illegit. They have Apple logos and everything on them. They cost $1. They last about 6 months. I'm going to have the phone for probably 2 years. The real thing costs $20, $30, sometimes $50 from Apple. Sometimes you just don't care. As long as you're using PayPal, your identity is safe. It's really up to you to use your best judgment when purchasing things. Who here uses Internet Explorer? I really hope that's a true number. Okay, Internet Explorer, for those of you that don't know, is... Wow, Derrick, you've really gone to efforts to get rid of it. I'm sorry, I'm totally going to put it on your desktop for a second. Who here has this E on their desktop? Okay, that's a little better. If you've seen this icon or some variant of it and you use this as your primary way of browsing the internet, stop and switch to what's called Google Chrome.
This is this beach ball here. Who here is a Chrome user already? Okay, I like that. That's very good. The difference is internet.
Firefox?
Firefox is okay. It's a little slower. I feel like we were actually having a conversation about this right before this class. If you've ever used Firefox, Firefox is sort of the big brother of the old Netscape system that was really popular back in the day. Firefox is Netscape. And the problem with it is its code base has gotten too big. You might want to switch to Chrome because it's really lightweight, it's really fast, and its rendering engine is way faster. The other thing is if Flash Player crashes in Google Chrome, you can just close the window and open a new one, whereas if you're using Internet Explorer or Firefox or any other browser, the entire thing crashes and you lose everything you had open. So switching to Google Chrome is probably the absolute safest thing you can do for your web browsing experience. There's one other thing that we do recommend to people, and that'll be coming up in about a second. But really do try to install Chrome. It's a completely free web browser from Google. The million-dollar question that a lot of people ask us, what do we do about all this? All these viruses and different threats to our system, how can we protect ourselves? This is a virus bulletin test that was done, and they've done the same test since 1998. And this antivirus program that people always ask us, what do we recommend, is called NOD32. It's made by a company called ESET. They've had an absolute perfect record in this test for every year since 1998, which is unheard of from any other product in the market.
And as you can see, all the free ones that people like to put on their machines, they're all at the bottom of the list in terms of catching viruses.
We're going to provide you guys with a link. It's located right here. It's tinyurl/AV 2012 NOD32. Go ahead.
It's on the agenda sheet.
It's on the agenda sheet. I really do recommend going home and installing it. It's a really affordable antivirus. 2 years will cost you $60. I know if you're using Norton through any other service. Who here has Norton or McAfee right now? If you're using Norton antivirus or McAfee antivirus, I really do recommend uninstalling it because, as you can see, here's McAfee. It's not exactly at the top of the list, and it's almost as good as the free ones, which is kind of interesting because when you're trying to choose an antivirus, you don't want it to be as good as the free ones, especially if you're paying more than you are for the absolute best thing on the market. Every one of our customers, anytime we go to an office, any new client that we pick up, and we see anything from probably about here down, we'll go and replace it with NOD32. The only other one on this list I'll even speak for is Kaspersky. They've gotten a lot better in the last couple of years. I'd say that they're about second or third, and then Symantec's probably moved down to third for sure. Symantec is also known as, they're the same company that makes Norton antivirus. Is this for their consumer grade or for their enterprise grade?
I think it's fixture both. Covers everything.
We do like Symantec for their enterprise support. They have a really nice rendering engine over at Network, but for independent use, we really do recommend using NOD32. All right, anyone in here have a smartphone? All right. Things to keep in mind, always keep a password on your smartphone. It's that little number lock thing when you first punch into it, asks you for 4 numbers, or slide your fingers some funny sort of way. And make sure that if your phone is lost or stolen, that the person stealing it won't automatically be able to log into it. They'll have to reformat your phone or do something else to get into it. This doesn't mean that your pictures are safe, but there are other ways to deal with that. Never store personal information, social security number, bank accounts, etc. on your SD card. Keep your SD card for storing programs, images. Don't put your Chase mobile app onto your SD card. Not the best idea. You can move a lot of programs. I think that a lot of the banking apps actually require it to be installed directly on your phone. If you always wipe your phone to factory settings before selling or giving your phone away. I'll be completely honest. I recommend crushing your phone with a hammer and setting it afire. I mean, if you have an iPhone, there is a particular material value to reselling it after 2 years. You're probably better off giving it to a grandchild or some sort of relative or a family friend, because it's going to be a lot safer in that situation. Selling it on eBay, a lot of people collect damaged or old phones because if the screen's cracked, you can't reset it. I mean, you can do it through iTunes, but in many cases, if it gets wet or something, they'll take that phone and take the information off of it, so they now can see all the people that you've called. They have all your text messages, everything. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but there's sometimes some. My brother doesn't remember his social security number. My mother texts it to him all the time, and he never deletes it. So they can figure out who owns the phone, who has a social security number. They can steal your identity. So do be cautious. Keeping your phone safe is about as important as keeping your computer safe. Watch out for suspicious applications. There's a huge malware problem in Android, and it's part of the conclusion that Android's an open platform. Google's actually been locking down on the phone a lot lately, almost to the point that Apple is, by limiting which apps you can install now. But there's already a lot of apps out in the wild. There's a free antivirus program that you can get from the App Store. It's made by Kaspersky, the other program that I recommended. Go ahead, you can download it, run a scan of your phone, and then delete it. Don't keep it on there or else it'll slow your whole phone down. But it is a free program. It'll scan it for malware, and then you can delete it. It's pretty good. Well, we're going to send you guys out a email recording of the class. Probably sometime within the next week. If you got the agenda form, there should be a link to it. Yeah?
Everyone that's here in the class will get an email sent to them as long as you provided one when you registered. And we also post it up on our blog anytime we do classes, so you can check our blog as well on our website.
And if any of you are worried about the security of your computer, need help, making sure that everything's fine, we do have cards on the table along with our fridge magnets. Feel free to take one, and we'll be more than happy to help you guys.
Does anyone have any questions? I know we're running a little short on time, but any questions that you want to ask about anything? Yes?
Just a quick one.
Go ahead.
I'm still in the 20th century, so forgive me. My emails that I get are from stores and things like that. They always have a habit of asking you for your email. If I want to delete them, is there any way to delete them? Or do I just call the store and say I don't want the email anymore?
Wes, what would you say? Could you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I get emails from stores and catalogs I really don't use, and I always feel like that they're wasting their time or money sending me the email. Is there any way to delete it?
There is. On the bottom of every legitimate publication like that, there's a button that says unsubscribe. Go ahead, click it, go through the process to unsubscribe it, and it should cut down on your spam. I was getting a ton of emails from Best Buy and all these different computer companies, because I'm always subscribing to their free deals to win stuff. Yeah, you think I'd know better.
No. Well, no, I just feel bad. I feel like they're wasting their time.
Believe me, they're not wasting any of their time.
No.
What they have you on is a giant mailing list, and that same exact piece of emails going out to 10,000 other people. You take up about 2 kilobytes in their entire system worth of information.
Don't worry about it. Okay, thanks.
Yes. Go ahead.
That's interesting because just several months ago they did a story on Channel 2 about you hit unsubscribe and it just mushrooms into forever and ever. So
well, that's on emails from illegitimate places. Yes, if you do that. If you do it from a legitimate source like Best Buy or a known retailer, it's usually okay. But there's a lot of spammers that know people are looking for the unsubscribe link, and they're going to get you like that. And then they know that address is verified, and they're just going to send you more things.
Right.
So yes, that is true to an extent.
Well, here's my solution to you guys who are worried about the less legitimate sources, if I can ever get into my email. Alright, let's say I get I've been getting these since like forever. You know what? Let's say that I don't want to get this email anymore, because I really don't. First thing you do, it says report as spam. You just go ahead and click that. and it's no longer an issue. That message will not bother you again from that address because you marked it as spam. If it comes up a second time, go ahead and just submit it again. So I signed up for that service back in college to help with scholarships and whatnot, and they've been bugging me ever since. So that's the end of that.
When you report something as spam, though, does it? I know I've got AOL and AT&T. It throws it in my spam folder.
That's fine. I mean, just clear your spam folder.
Just delete it that way. Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's not getting into your inbox and annoying you every time you open your. You got mail. You got mail.
The unsubscribe works. Good.
Yeah.
I've done that.
It does, but I mean, like she said, it's from an illegitimate source, some company out of Thailand sending out like millions of mass messages. You hitting unsubscribe verifies that you're an actual human being and will send you more stuff.
And the way to differentiate that is if it's a place you purchased from online before or you've given your email to, it's okay to use the unsubscribe. But if it's some place that just blasted you out of the blue and you never did business with them, they're probably one of those illegitimate senders.
Now, if you want to go to Gmail, like you suggested,
Yes.
and you've got AOL.com and AT&T.net, how do you make sure that everyone knows that you got Gmail? And you said something about there's a way.
There's a very simple solution, and it's called email forwarding. The easiest way to do it is to start using your new email address. And if you have a mailing list, select everyone that you contact on a regular basis. Say this is my new email. Please change me out in your address book. That's the first step. And the second step is in the AOL settings menu, there's an option to forward all email to a new account. So then you just put in your new Gmail one. You go ahead and verify it. An email will be sent to the Gmail one. You verify. They'll go back to AOL and say thank you. Now all your emails will go to your AOL and your Gmail account, and you won't get duplicates.
And a lot of services also offer what's called a autoresponder or vacation message, and you can set that up to send out to everyone that emails you at that address, and it'll bounce back and tell them, hey, my new email is this, do not contact me at this address anymore. That's the other step I would do. Any other questions? All right, we got some free goodies for you. All right, thank you.
All right, I'm going to ask you a few questions about this this class, and the first person that can answer me.